Hello everyone, this is Coach Sean, and we have finished reviewing the hitting video from early December, and we're now just putting together your hitting lessons. There's some things that are common amongst a lot of our hitters that the videotape is showing us, and I just wanted to start by reviewing some of these things so that everybody can become familiar with them, what they are, how they affect your swing, what you can do to correct it, practice drills, etc. What I'd like everyone to do after you read these things is stop your video, go online, go to our website, saintsbaseball.club. Once you're at the website, saintsbaseball.club, I would like you to go to the features page, and I'd like you to watch the following videos. The first one I would like you to watch is Fix Your Flat Swing, Master the Snap Drill. I believe this drill is essential in any hitter's swing. If you do not move your hands, turn the triangle, snap the bat rearward, and pull your hands through a swing, you're not going to have your best swing. You're not going to be able to attack the balls on the corners and things of that nature. A flat swing is going to have trouble hitting outside and inside pitches. What we are trying to build with our hitters is a complete hitter, somebody with no holes in their swing that can attack all the balls in the zone and drive the ball from gap to gap at your 18 to 22 degree upward plane, thusly making each hitter the best they can be. So again, if you do not snap your bat correctly, this drill is perfect for slowing it down, duplicating it, mimicking the process, and is something that everybody should be able to do or know about so that they can work on getting there in the future. So again, I'd like you to start by watching those two videos. I think 3 videos associated to that part of the drill. The second thing I'd like you to watch is casting your hands in the swing. It's the second video on the page. Casting your hands is something that most of our hitters are doing. A large number of them anyway are doing. And casting the bat, simply put, will flatten your swing. Okay, it's the incorrect use of your hands in the swing that flattens your plane of your bat, which is going to make you, again, have difficulty hitting inside and outside pitches. It's going to give you holes in your swing, and this is a great video series so that you can understand what it is, how you're doing it, and again, ways to fix it. So that's very important. Thirdly, loose hands drill. It's lower down on the page, and I have a feeling from watching these videos that not everybody's holding their bats correctly. The bat should be held very loosely, and every one of our players should investigate using a grip aid, whether it's pine tar or the tacky waxy substances, something of that nature. But if you look at a major league on deck circle, there's probably 4 or 5 grip aids that the batters are using every at bat before they go to bat in most cases. And on the Saints team, we've got literally 1 or 2 people using pine tar, and not on a regular basis. So again, I would like all the players to understand how to grip a bat, the best way to grip a bat, why they're gripping it that way, and how it contrasts with what they're doing. And I'd like them to try to mimic and copy the folks in these hand drills so that they can, again, feel the difference in the swing with loose hands. So we've got that video. We've got the Justin Turner's loose hands bat grip, which all that does is show his loose grip preload. Again, very important for the kids to get that, let it sink in, and see if they can change their grip to get their hands and wrists looser in the swing. So go ahead and go watch those and then come on back to your lesson. Okay, now that you've done that, let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here. In general, a hitter that is approaching 15 years old, or by the time he reaches 16, he should be very proficient at covering the zone, meaning having a swing that will produce a line drive anywhere from gap to gap at anywhere from 16 to 22 degree upward trajectory. A player should be able to hit a pitch in that direction that is anywhere in the zone. That is a batting practice or soft toss pitch or off a tee. Okay, yes, it's a different thing when you put a live pitcher in there throwing top speed for your age group, but by age 15, 16 at the latest, you should be very well accomplished with the quick short swing that covers the whole zone, that puts the ball into the right place. So what we're trying to do is build that with each player, and what we're seeing from just a few flaws, not a lot of stuff needs to be cleaned up with a lot of our hitters, but this snap drill and how you initiate the swing and casting the hands are the two biggest things we need to fix so that our kids can get on the trajectory of being able to hit a ball in the strike zone where they need and want to hit it. So our goal is trying to get you all in that direction. So that's what we're working on here. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So the first thing I want to show you here is this hitter performing the snap drill. And let's just roll it so you can see it. Okay, let's play it live. You see how he does it nice and slow, making sure he's keeping everything in its right position with the right sequence. And this drill right here, we're going to call the snap drill. And I believe every one of our hitters on our team needs to practice this a lot on a regular basis. Even after you master it, you need to keep doing it just to make sure it stays regular and an easy feeling for you. And let's take a look at some of the breakdown on this thing here. So what you're trying to achieve is more of a horizontal or downward swing. As you can see at the point of contact, so to speak, the angle of his bat. Okay. That angle right there is what you're trying to achieve on most pitches, not an outside and high pitch, for example, but for a lot of the pitches on the plate, that's the angle you're trying to achieve, okay? So, of course, he did that and achieved that angle by starting with a good triangle with this 90 degrees. He's got a proper hand grip. Okay, look at that really close. And as you move it forward here, he's snapping the bat rearward. Snapping the bat rearward. And one important thing in being able to do that, which is also part of the snap deal teachings, is this right here. The right forearm for a right-hander, left forearm for a left-hander. This degree should always be close to 90 degrees at all times until you get into the power V, or the tail end of your swing. So as you watch that angle through the swing, you can see he's kept it more or less at contact right there. Okay? So the relationship of the forearm to the bat should always be 90 degrees. When you start the swing, the first movement here, there's his go right there. His triangle starts to turn, his bat comes rearward, his forearm and bat are at 90 degrees, and he simply maintains that posture through the swing. And you can see there he really starts to get his left elbow moving forward and around and up, and starts plunging his left shoulder rearward. Okay? So as you watch this here, see how far that left shoulder or left elbow is going to maintain his 90 degrees. Now he's essentially turned his triangle all the way, and it's facing the pitcher. Okay? If you do not, which a lot of our hitters don't, if you do not turn that elbow up and out, that elbow will stop right where it's at. Okay? If your elbow stops in here, which a lot of our players' elbows do, if you're stopping here, the only place for the arms and hands to then go, the forearms and the hands, is out and around that elbow. Okay? So these are then going to come outward. Okay? That would be his arm extended right there, so to speak. If he stops the elbow, this hand has nowhere to go but out and around the elbow. Okay? Which will make you cast your bat, which will give you a flatter swing plane and make it tough to reach inside pitches and outside pitches on a regular basis. So again, this snap drill is something everybody should grab a wiffle ball bat, standing in front of a mirror, practice this methodically, slowly, until you get it and it's comfortable. And once it's comfortable, you should continue to do it on a regular basis. Okay? So let's flip this for our left-handers. Let them take a look. Okay, this drill is real easy to practice as well. What you do is you get in the batter's box with a tee, you get your feet lined up, you take and you measure the distance from the hands to the sweet spot of your bat, and you get in this position, put the bat near the ball, you recreate this whole position right here, and then you simply back it up to your load and you slowly proceed between the 2 points until you can do it quickly and correctly. Okay, so I want everybody to work on that. I want you to do it at home. I want you to do it in the cages, at practice. I really want everybody to concentrate on gaining what it feels like to start your swing like this. Very important. Okay, here's another version of the snap drill. It should also be practiced with one hand. This is the portion of the drill where you're concentrating on a 90-degree or a perpendicular angle, 90 degrees from the bat to your left elbow or right, your forearm or your right forearm if you're right-handed. Let's watch this gentleman demonstrate the drill. So along with the other version of this, everybody should practice this on a regular basis. You should get it to feel as comfortable as possible, and some of the things to remind you of here is you can see how the elbow and everything starts to slot and everything works together simultaneously. The same thing with the two-hand snap drill, okay? So now we've got this flipped for right-handed players to see what it looks like. Okay, so again, the ability to do this and master these drills and get a good feel for handling the bat like these instructors are. Again, bat speed controls how far and hard we hit the ball. So you want to gain as much bat speed as possible, and you can see the whip from laying it down like this is how you're going to gain more bat speed, okay? That's how early bat speed is gained. The second thing it's going to do for you, it's going to get the bat on the right path, which is going to help you hit more balls where you want to hit them. So keep all that in mind as you're practicing this drill. And the third way to practice the snap drill is with a PVC pipe. Okay, and here is the third way to practice the snap drill, and this is with the PVC pipe that was provided to you by Chris, or this could be with a broomstick, something of that nature. And let's just watch this gentleman. You can see how he moves everything simultaneously. Everything's firing at once. The snapping of the hands, the slotting of the right elbow, the upward movement of the left shoulder and elbow to turn the triangle, and bam. Okay, now again, this is exaggerated. You're not going to exactly swing this way every time, but it does show, and by exaggerating, get everything moving in the right direction on the right path. So let's flip it for our left-handers. Okay, so there are the 3 ways to practice the snap drill, and I highly suggest everybody masters these drills. Get them looking just the way these instructors do in the video. Okay? So here we have Justin Turner loaded in here, and I want to take a quick look at the ending of his swing so that we have contrast for later when we get into the individual videos. But you can see he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, and if we draw a line right here, this line indicates what a lot of our players are doing that are casting their hands. If you cast your hands, what that's going to do, it's going to stop your elbows in this area right here of the swing. It's not going to allow you to get to this position. Okay? So again, take a quick look at that and then parlay that into your swing and see what the differences are. But if you do stop your elbows and cast the bat, that's what's going to give you the rotational, flatter swing. So here is Aaron Judge, and let's look at his full swing. Again, look at the same points. As he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, before contact. You'll see that he maintains his 90-degree relationship with his elbows and triangle. You'll see here that his elbow is way up by his shoulder. His shoulder is moving rearward. And it appears he's got a ball on a pretty good trajectory, and with his bat speed, I'm assuming that's a home run or close to it, right there. He's got a perpendicular relationship here with the bat and the flight of the ball. He pulled his hands inside nicely, and he got some nice results on this swing. So if we look at the front of the swing here, if you look at the hands, and the elbows, you will see that all that stuff moves simultaneously. You will also see his left elbow simply goes upward, like so. So let's go ahead and get into the individual lessons, and we'll discuss some of this stuff in further depth as we have you on the screen here. Okay, Ronnie, here is your lesson. What I would like you to do, I know you already hopefully watched all those other videos, but so it makes more sense during your lesson, I'd like you to fast forward, just jump ahead to your raw hitting video. That's the unedited tape of you hitting from both views. I'd like you to jump ahead and watch that and come back so that as we talk about a few things going forward here, they'll make a little bit more sense. But I want you to pay attention very closely to pitch location versus where you hit the ball. You know, where is it at in the gap-to-gap scenario? Is it opposite field? Is it a pull hit? What's the trajectory and all those things? I just want you to watch them very closely and more so from the down view, from the pitcher's view. So please do that and then come on back and we'll get rolling. Okay, Ronnie, here is, based on watching your film and talking to you in the cage, here is the action plan I built for you. Just to touch real quick in general on action plans. You know, a hitter's always got to be trying to improve. It doesn't matter where he's at on the scale, if he's a great hitter already, a good hitter already, an okay hitter, wherever you're at on the scale, you never stop trying to improve yourself, right? You know, that's your first goal in baseball or any sport, anything you're doing in life. You always try to strive daily to get better, okay? An action plan is what helps you do that. It gives you a detailed list of what you need to be working on. You never step into a cage and just swing empty-minded. You know, this is the time to practice, to put things in your head, to try things so that when you get to a live game, you don't have to think about it, okay? So, but practice is where you do this, and if you have something in mind that you're working on, you're always going to be able to improve something. Again, it's you know, embrace our weaknesses, internalize them, study them, find out how to change them, and always try to eliminate your weaknesses or to make a weakness a strength. Okay, so you know that should be your goal, and based on that theory, this is what I got for you. Um, so the first thing I'd like to say about your swing is, you know, it's a really, really nice swing. Overall, I just think if we tweak a couple of things like we were talking about in the cage, you mentioned to me that things were just a little flat. You didn't have the trajectory you'd like to. You didn't have quite the vertical swing you'd like to. And and I'm so glad that I heard you say that because that's all that I was thinking about your swing too. You do a lot of things really, really good. How do we get just a little more trajectory on your balls? That's uh, you know, what I was thinking as well. But after watching your film, you know, you're really close on that. I mean, that's just a couple of minor things. What I see more, uh, you know, almost of an important thing to add to your swing is you're completely just a pull hitter. And that's why I wanted you to watch your video. Unless I missed some of these pitches here, you do not hit anything opposite field. You're a pull hitter, and that's not all bad. That's not something that's, you know, keeping you from playing baseball. In the terms of making you a complete hitter, and I'll explain this as we go forward in depth, but I would like to see you uh, roll your bat directionally to the ball better. That's something I'd really like to see you improve on. So, so that's kind of one of the things that I really want to hit on in your lesson is, you know, directional movement. You know, your initial swing is awesome. You drop back, you do the snap drill really well. I think it's a directional thing, though, that's going to help you hit the ball opposite field better and more often. So anyway, long story short, I put the snap and laser drill up there. Even though you do it well, I would like to see you practice it and aim it inside, aim it up the middle, and aim it outside. Okay, you need to do that relentlessly and tirelessly. And perfect it to all fields. So I'd really like you to just keep maintaining and doing the snap drill so that that's always something that's right there. You never lose it. But I want you to become directional with the snap drill. I want you to snap to right field, on an outside pitch, snap to left field on the inside pitch. Take the middle pitch and do the snap drill, pull one, and then send one to right field the next time. Divide your middle pitches and practice it that way. You're rolling to the ball. This is kind of a dry swing kind of a drill. I would really like to get in the cage and show you what I mean, but I would like to see you practice again, very similar to the snap drill is just the rolling to the ball portion of your swing in a dry manner, and then do it with a ball and a tee, and then hit the ball. So what you do is you move the ball around the zone. You're inside low, inside high, outside low, middle. Set the tee in those positions and do 30 hits on each of them, sending them in the right direction, and that's going to train your muscle memory to attack a ball directionally, okay, so that you can utilize the whole field and not, pull over or pop up or whatever at an outside pitch. But, a bigger guy that can cover more of the plate, that's just a couple, you know, to be a pull hitter, a lot of guys that are bigger can do that and get away with it more often because you can stretch around and hit that pitch. You can hit an outside pitch to the left side. So that's why it's really maybe not something that somebody's told you is a weakness or something to work on. But if you look at a major league player that has large size and is strong and all that stuff, that has practiced for years and years taking the ball opposite field in a directional roll to the ball swing, that guy's going to be the 340 hitter with the 40 bombs versus the 280 hitter with 25 bombs. Okay, that's the difference. So again, we're trying to project you to the elite level swing that a major leaguer has, and these are some small points, but if you put it all together, it's going to make a difference in the long run in your swing. So again, becoming more directional, rolling to the ball. I'd like to show you some drills there and give you some ideas and some stuff to work on. Your forward movement is not bad, but here's kind of my point with this comment here in this number 3 is you've got enough power to hit the ball out of the park twice with one swing. I mean, you've got enough power for days. Finding power is not a problem with you. So what I would like you to do is investigate some shorter swings, i.e., Nelson Cruz or Albert Pujols, and just look at them, study them. Then go into the cages and see if that shortening your swing a little bit helps, because you don't need more power. All you need is more consistency in directional contact. That's it. So the one thing that I see flattening your swing a little bit, like me and you talked about, is how far forward you pull the 90. In my opinion, and we won't know until you try, but if you shortened how far you pull the 90 and get into your extension a little bit earlier, I think that's going to help you with the, being a more complete hitter. I think that's where the one adjustment is. You're so strong, and when you pull that 90 as far as you do, your left elbow, so to speak, like you can see on the screen right here, you pull it so hard and so fast. I think that just flattens your bat out momentarily for just a quick second, that it makes a difference there anyway. So I'd like to investigate that. I think getting your left elbow just a hair higher, quicker is what we should shoot for. I'll, you know, Aaron Judge, for example, I think if you watched Aaron Judge and maybe tried to duplicate what he's doing, and try to improve your directional roll to the pitch, I think those are the only tweaks that you really need to change things and get the ball on a better plane more often. So that's why I've got number 3 there. Uh, you trigger well. Again, power's not a problem. You trigger, you snap really well. You do the snap drill really well. You can see all the power you're generating by the way your bat and hands initiate the swing. But I don't know if you do the trigger drill. It's just something to reinforce that feel, and it's something good. It's really good to be regular at that. So I would like to introduce that drill to you to start doing on your own at home. What it's going to do is teach you how to get that same power with less foot movement. And it's not that I want to take your leg kick away from you and not have one, but it's just something that, it stabilizes and hones and sharpens what the upper body is doing, and it's really good for consistency. So I'd like you to practice that drill, and that is on our website, and we can talk more about it in practice. Practice the no footwork drill. Again, that's not moving your feet yet swinging off the tee. I think that's going to help you shorten things just a hair. So those 2 drills are awfully important. And just mentally in your head, just think vertical versus horizontal, vertical versus horizontal. It's really oftentimes a mental approach in understanding the concept. So again, we've talked about it in practice. You'll see in your raw video, we talked about it. Just, just put that in your head when you're swinging. That's what I wanted to say about that. And lastly, I didn't have room to write it down here, but you do start with your foot. Your left foot, when you're in the ready position, is you're open, it's behind you, and you do pick it up and then step forward. I must say that you do it pretty well. You don't get your foot, a lot of people that do that are going to step too far inside because they're coming inward and they get off balance or they get rushed by the pitch or whatever. You do it pretty well. I don't know if you do that for vision or for feel or for a timing mechanism. I would just investigate and try some different things, see if anything's more comfortable, less comfortable, helps with consistency. Try a different leg kick, try a different situation there and see if it helps. If it doesn't, no big deal. Again, I don't think it's affecting your consistency a whole lot, but I would be open to some other stuff. So as you get older and you're facing 90-mile-an-hour pitchers and things of that nature, every split second counts. So give that some thought. Okay, so let's jump into your lesson here. Let's just give you a look at your swing. So now you have something that you can watch in slow motion without pausing and rewinding here. You can just visit this section of the tape whenever you want to look at some of the intricate details of your swing. So let's just jump in and dissect this and look at a few things here. So let's take you through your leg kick. So the first thing I want to point out is how far forward of the plate your left foot is when you come down. So, you know, you're a big kid, you're a strong kid, maybe you stand more forward because you think the pitchers are slow, you know, in 13U or when you were younger. Maybe you stood further forward so you could attack the pitch quicker and things of that nature, but in general philosophy terms on where you stand in the box, a hitter's goal is to make contact with the ball either a few inches before or a few inches after his front foot. So if you look at that area where you're standing right now, you are now hitting and attacking a pitch, you know, a foot to a foot and a half out in front of the plate that might be a ball. You know, you don't know. The umpire is calling strikes based on when the ball travels over the plate. Okay? So if you were to start, with your front foot here and then leg kick out here, okay? Now you're making a swing decision based upon the ball being over the plate, okay? So now a few inches before or a few inches after your front foot is right over the strike zone, okay? So that's the way most people teach that. Again, if you're getting specific benefits from the way you're doing it, I'd like to discuss it with you and see what those are. You just may not have been thinking about where you're at here and you do it differently. I don't know. I'd like to get on the same page with you there. But just a quick small point about that. So let's talk about your leg kick and your lower half and everything in the swing. I don't have a lot of qualms with what you're doing here. I just want to show you what some other players and some major league elite hitters are doing. If we watch Mitch here, Mitch comes up and back. Up and back. He takes his knee to his belt buckle. Up and back. Up and back. Okay? If we watch yours, okay, and he starts parallel to the edge of the plate. His left foot is in between his right foot and the pitcher's chest, so to speak. Okay? It's in line with those things. So you're open here. You bring the knee in and up. So that's good. I like that you've got the up. That is a big part of all major league hitters. What you don't want in a leg kick is simply back and then forward in a linear manner. You don't want to just come back and go forward. You do want a little bit of vertical, okay? You want to bring it up and then down and out. So you have a little bit of that in your leg kick. So you do come up a little bit and then down and out. But what you don't have is what Mitch is doing, where he's just gathering. We call this the gathering phase of your leg kick, but he goes up and back, okay? So there's just some differences right there. So he goes from his gather position down and out. That's where the toe touches right there. Okay, so down and out. Down and out. Okay? So here is your down and out. Okay? That's about as high as you get it, and as far back as you get the left knee. And there you are touching down. Okay? So just as a comparison, so you can see what Mitch is doing. So again, in your action plan, when I talked about shortening your swing, if you utilized more gathering instead of going more forward, I think that's going to change things and get you a little bit shorter. It's going to get you to your power beam extension sooner without going as far forward, which is going to allow your bat in the pull phase to shorten up a little bit. You do the pull phase beautifully. I think if you just shortened it and raised that left elbow a little bit higher, that you're going to get on the plane that you want to just a little bit easier and quicker. But, you know, look at these things here. The very, very important thing about a leg kick, you know, what you want to gain from it is this. The importance of the up and out and down, you know, the second phase of his leg kick, the importance of that is what he's doing is he's taking his energy, he's driving it straight into the ground, and he's redirecting it through twisting and torquing directly at the pitch, okay? So that's the importance of not just having a linear leg kick where it's back and forward, which you don't have. I'm just bringing that up as a note here, but the importance of the leg kick is to get your force and your movement and your momentum going into the ground, then redirecting it outward. It's just like a pitcher does. A pitcher has a leg kick, he becomes more vertical. He, with his leg, sends his energy directly to the rubber, downward, and then he kicks outward at the catcher's glove. Okay? That's what a pitcher does, is he takes the energy downward into the ground and then redirects it to the catcher. He's now going outward with all his momentum. So the one thing, your leg kick not being so high, I don't know if you're generating enough force downward like that. It also has a lot to do with how you move your hips. You could actually have a minimal leg kick and just work your hips in your lower half correctly so your hips are doing the right thing. You know, there's other ways to achieve this other than a leg kick. But just I want to bring to attention what, you know, what Mitch is you know, what he's doing with his leg kick, why he's doing it, the benefits he's getting from it, okay? So that's a very important thing there in the leg kick. Let's take a look at Justin Turner here. Here is he's in his gather here. I don't have the video previous to this to show you his up, but obviously you can see where he gets to. And here's his down and out. Down and out. So what you do is as you come down and out, you make contact with your left foot, and the torque and the twist and the pushing off with the right foot. Now you're better set and have more momentum going at the pitch. Okay, so again, drops down to the ground, torques, twist, push with the right foot. Now he's got everything attacking the ball correctly. Okay, so just some different ideas of what guys are doing differently. Here's a look at Albert Pujols. He has no leg kick. His ready position is the same as his trigger position, so he doesn't really move a whole lot to load, if any. But if you just watch his swing, he lifts his left heel up, he puts his left heel back down, and he just starts to turn and rotate and torque. Okay, Albert in his prime was one of the most powerful hitters to ever play the game, so it's not robbing him of power. And this is kind of what I'm alluding to in your swing. If you can find something shorter, I know you're not going to run out of power. You know, you've demonstrated that. So if you could tinker with something a little bit shorter, it's going to help your time to impact. And I think it'll get you to your power V in rotation sooner, which is probably all you need to become a little bit more vertical in your swing, like we talked about. So, you know, just take a look at him and what he's doing there. So as we roll his swing, you can see that his head does not move forward, backwards, up, down. You can see that his torso does not move forward, backwards, up or down. He is simply just torquing and twisting. Okay, so I just want you to drink this in. Think about the two different swings, you know, tinker with things, get some ideas from other people, other hitting instructors. You know, I think it's worth investigating, shortening your swing just a hair. It's, again, not too long, and I'll get more into detail later as to why I think that, but I just want you to see this here. Albert hit for average, hit for power, until his legs started giving him trouble. He had physical troubles. It's really slowed him down, but when he was in his prime, there was nobody better. So, okay, so that's enough about leg kicks. Let's look at your load. your ready position to load, okay? And I think that you are pretty close to textbook here. I don't really have anything to add or to change. I just want to show it to you so that you can see yourself and know where you're at here. If we take a look at you and Sawyer here, we go from ready to load, and we maintain the 90 from ready to load. We're just pulling back the bow with our right elbow behind us, not towards the catcher, so that our left arm will arm bar. We're just pulling it behind us and getting that stretch between the left hip and the right shoulder. And again, I really like where you end up on your load. Here you are with Albert Pujols. There's his load right there. You guys are practically identical. His left elbow appears to be just a smidge higher than yours, but not a big deal, just a note. But again, everything about your load I'm liking. Okay, so you've demonstrated that you have a really good load to your swing. So now let's move to the trigger phase. That's where you're fully loaded and you start the hands and the elbows and the bat into the swing. You initiate your swing. Again, this ain't going to be a long video on this. This is something you do really well. I'd like to point out to you and to, hopefully all our other players are watching. They get time everybody else's video lessons, because you just get more ideas that way. That's just one way to gather knowledge about how different people do different things. So I do want to touch on this real quick. The first thing I want to point out is you've got awesome bat wrap and bat leg. You can see as we project that out, you're pointed right at the catcher's feet, somewhere in that area, maybe a little bit further behind him. Not a big deal. It's just kind of a generalization, and that looks just awesome right there, okay? You can see that you've created tension between your right shoulder and left hip. You've stretched the rubber band, and you're just ready to snap right here, okay? So again, you do the trigger really, really, really well. So let's roll this here. Here is your trigger, okay? So as you launch it, you can see that your bat, its only move is rearward towards the catcher, not behind you, not any other direction than where it needs to go, okay? And that's, you can see the velocity, or you gaining early bat speed there. You can tell how fast from here to here, you can see it. You can see the difference in other swings. You can see the early bat speed that you're generating right there, okay? And that's because you do the load and the trigger, the snap drill, you do all of that textbook, okay? You can see you're in your 90. You turn your 90, you move everything really well. Okay, so your trigger, I'm going to give you an A+, which is all that right there. Okay. In fact, I'm not even going to compare it to major leaguers or anybody else. I just want you to continue doing that right there. If you need any ideas on this part of your swing, you just look at this video, my friend, and it's right there. Okay, so there's your trigger. Everything's looking good. What I do want to throw in there is just a couple of small things though. I do want you, however, to keep practicing the snap drill, or if there's other things that made you efficient in this area of your swing, I'd like to hear about them so I can teach them to other players. But I do want you to continue the snap drill so that this never leaves you. It's always something that's a natural movement for you. And then this here is the 10-toe trigger drill. I would like to have you introduce this to your practice routine. You can do it in the cage at Diamond Sports when it's not conflicting with other topics we're working on, but more importantly, I'd like you to do this at home, off a tee and into a net as often as you can, and all this does is going to reinforce and keep you smooth and easy with your trigger. But it also, the important thing about this drill is that it gets you that maximum tension between your left hip and your right shoulder. This is something that, the pro hitters, they do this stuff regularly in their routine. It just keeps them regular, keeps everything comfortable, keeps it natural, keeps it a reactionary type of movement, something that you don't think about. So this is Manny Ramirez doing this drill. I want you to do this drill and try to hit the ball directly up the middle, maybe hit the pitcher in the head. Okay. Maybe for you, try to hit the ball to the right side a little bit when you're doing this drill, just to get that feel. Okay. And here is JD Martinez in the batting cages before a game, and he is not moving his feet. His feet are glued to the ground. So what you do in this drill is you take your leg kick, you set your left foot down, and whatever that distance is between those legs, you set up in that distance. You go back to your load, and then you just swing at the pitch. Okay, that is going to reinforce how the upper body feels and how the hips gather tension when the legs aren't moving. So I would like you to introduce this to your workout routine. There's a lot of benefits to be gained from this. And just a side note here, JD Martinez records every one of his swings on a daily basis, as you can see here, and reviews it at the end of the day to make sure he's not changing or regressing in anything, or if he finds something he wants to change. So, just keep in mind, even though this guy he became one of the best hitters in baseball this year. I think he hit 330, 340 with 130 RBIs and 43 bombs. Okay, and he's never satisfied with where he's at, and that's the way all our guys should be. But I just wanted to show you this drill he's doing. I'd like you to introduce this to your practice routine. This definitely goes along the lines of shortening your swing. You should always be looking to how to shave down your time to impact and things of that nature. So, and staying quiet in your swing, this improves that. So definitely want you to introduce this to your practice routine. So that concludes the trigger portion of your hitting lesson here. Again, everything's, textbook. I can't add anything. I think if you add those drills in there, that just goes towards consistency. Um, I am going to now talk about, it has to do with your trigger and the pulling of your hands, but attacking the ball directionally, becoming a better opposite field hitter, and a little bit more about the plane of your bat. So let's get into that section here. Okay, so on the topic of attacking the ball in the proper direction, which is the one thing that I would like to see you improve upon, which is going to make you a better opposite field hitter. It's going to make you a more consistent hitter on pitches on the extremities, higher pitches, lower pitches, pitches further outside, further inside. That's all we need to add to you, and a little bit of, just a hair more horizontal, but not because the way you trigger, it's something different, and that's coming here. But watch this video. I'm just going to play this. Here's this gentleman practicing rolling to the ball. I call rolling to the ball your initial trigger. From there to just before contact, we call that rolling to the ball. I would like you to practice rolling to the ball by setting up a tee, putting the ball in, in the beginning, 5 different locations: outside high, outside low, inside high, inside low, and middle middle. And I would like you to do 30 roll to the pitches, stop before contact, and roll to them like this gentleman's doing. If you're taking an outside high pitch, you're rolling differently than you are to an inside low pitch, okay? This is going to give you the muscle memory to attack the pitch directionally and put it in your memory banks and muscle memory, so that when you're in the box, this happens naturally, okay? So you start with stopping at contact with a tee in all the different locations, and then you take 30 swings and you hit the ball doing the same thing. 30 outside high, outside low, inside high, inside low, middle middle, and you just keep doing this. You add this to your repertoire and you never quit. You just keep doing this, and that's going to help you become less of a pull hitter and more of a directional hitter that takes a direct path to the ball every time. And it's not that your path is not directional per se, and it's not to say that you're rotational and you're taking the incorrect path, like somebody that casts their bat, for example. But the fact that you don't hit any balls to the opposite direction tells me that you're not doing this, okay, especially on outside pitches. So I think that's also the difference, part of the difference in your bat plane. But there's also one other thing that's more important than that, and we'll get to it like I've been telling you. But this gentleman here, he's just showing this hitter here, and look, this guy's a high school age kid or older, and he still doesn't have this down. So the beauty of this is, you're a 14-year-old kid that's going to get to practice this now until the time he's in high school, and you're going to be a more complete hitter because of it. So I can tell you your swing looks a lot like Aaron Judge's, but you can see, and I'll show you when we get to this phase here, that Aaron Judge attacks the outside pitches differently by doing this. So I really want to emphasize, I want you to add and I don't know how much time you practice. I've heaped a bunch on there already, but this is something you have to do. You just have to add this to your practice routine to gain the ability to hit the ball the opposite direction and directionally attack the ball correctly each time and every time. So when we get into the batter's box against live pitching and top velocity elite pitching, you don't always attack the ball that way. You know, people are going to take an outside pitch and they're going to hit a low line drive between, you know, the first baseman and the second, or if you're left-handed, you know, into the sixth hole. Excuse me, if you're right-handed into the sixth hole, you're going to do that. That happens. I'm not saying you never pull a pitch that you shouldn't pull. What I'm telling you is you add this to your practice routine, you practice it, it's in your head, it's a prevalent thought. Now on certain pitches, you're going to drive a home run to the opposite field, or you're going to hit a double in the gap to right field. Okay, right now you haven't, I mean, that's the only weakness, and you know, somebody might get mad at me for calling it a weakness, but that's the one thing you haven't showed me is driving that pitch opposite field. And with a guy with your power, you have to open that up because that's going to take you from a 280 hitter in the major leagues to a 310 hitter. It's going to take you from 25 bombs to 35, 40 bombs. That's the difference. You're eliminating that outside opposite field hit as a weapon. Okay, so again, we're trying to achieve elite swings here. Okay, and I don't care if it takes you 1 year, 2 years, 3 years to do it. I want you to have this knowledge, and I want you practicing this. I don't care if you get it by this summer. I don't care what you do on the field. I care that you learn this stuff and you practice it, because what that really means is that you're going to improve on the field. So keep all that in mind, but this is the rolling to the ball, and we can investigate this further in the cage. I'd like to go over it with you, make sure you're practicing it correctly, and then set forth to do that. So let's get into the next phase of this. Okay, so in between the different views of your pitches, we talked about the more vertical versus more horizontal swing. So, and you can see in this tape from this angle, you've already improved that portion of your swing, and you're hitting more of these balls on an upward trajectory where you should. But what I was thinking as to what led to the flatness previously is the amount of distance when you got to the pull phase of your swing, okay? So this is what I call the pull phase of your swing. You've pretty much turned the triangle, and now everything's being pulled, not pushed, but pulled at the pitcher, okay? That phase of your swing was just a hair long, in my opinion. And because you're so strong and you're generating so much bat speed, that instead of getting the intended effect like you can see here, if you look at a lot of our other players' swings, you can see how far down your bat is blurred. It's just moving so fast, right? Some of the blur in the bats on some of the swings, if that's the bat, then, you know, some of the blur was only from here to here. You know, from this area to this area. You can see you're moving so fast, and your bat is now getting the downward trajectory it needs to then go upwards and be on the proper plane. So all your pictures I have or views from this side, you've already improved it just from the conversation we had in the cage. So whatever you tweak there, it seems to be working. But the reason I'm still pointing this out is because I want you to understand the theory of it. But if once you've turned the triangle, if you move the triangle through lunging or lower body movement, if you move the triangle too far this way, that will also flatten out your bat, okay? And I think that's what you were doing a little bit. What I want to emphasize here is getting through the turning of the 90 and into the upward elbow and the left rear shoulder, finishing the swing quicker. I just want you to pull out of the pull phase a little bit earlier, like you're doing here. This is pretty darn close to what I would ask you to try to do that. But if you become too long in the pull phase, that's going to flatten your bat out as well. So I would just like you to turn and rotate everything a little bit quicker, or just keep that in mind to gain that feel. Okay, so just rotate everything quicker. Don't lunge and with whatever, whether it's you're doing it with your arms or your torso or your legs. If you shorten your forward movement a little bit and you're not just going this way too much, you're a little bit more like Albert Pujols. You're just turning the whole time, so the pull phase is smaller. That's going to keep your bat on the upward plane that it needs to be on, versus exactly what we talked about. And I think that's awesome that you were aware that you were flattening out a little bit. But I want you to understand that's all you need to do is correct it, is shorten that part of your swing, get to the elevated left elbow, thrust the left rear shoulder back, get into extension just a hair earlier, and that's also going to help keep a little more leg in the bat, and that's going to assist you now as you're practicing hitting opposite field. That shortness and that correct direction to the ball is going to help you start killing the ball to the right field. Okay, so I mean, that's it. These are simple adjustments. You've shown that you've already made it. Now you need to understand it in theory and concept. You need to know what you need to practice to improve it. Okay, so again, you weren't flat because you were casting the bat or you weren't triggering properly with the snap drill. None of that. You were textbook on that. You were just so strong and pulling so hard to create so much power that I think you were becoming flat from pulling too hard and too long in the forward direction. So that's it. Let's look at some other guys, see how they swing. Let's compare you to some pros. So you can get a feel for that. I'm going to go to Aaron Judge because you're pretty close to him. He's a big, strong guy. You're a big, strong guy. Let's put you guys together here. Okay, let's just roll Aaron here. Okay, so as we roll Aaron, you're going to see, much like Albert Pujols, he is actually a little bit different than Albert, but you can see he's got really good quietness to his swing. He does not lunge forward. If anything, he's coming a little bit backwards because he's getting to the portion of his swing Okay, so after watching that last portion of your video here, I can see that the software glitched a little bit and it didn't pick up the full Aaron Judge section here, so just want to revisit that real quick and put that in there. So here you can see what Aaron's swing looks like. Again, once that left foot comes down, all he's going to do is rotate his body. He's going to stop moving forward, And if you can see here, he even goes backwards a little bit because he's pulling on that left shoulder and raising the left elbow so hard, okay? But what that does by not going forward is it doesn't keep him in the pull phase too long. It gets him to extension at the right time so he can gain maximum bat whip and bat speed. And again, since we talked in the box in between these, in the middle of this video here that you're going to watch, you've made that adjustment and you are pretty good at this right there. But I think talking back to, again, what you were doing before, I think this is where you were lengthening out by pulling too far before you got into your extension. But let's just roll this so that you can have tape on Aaron that you can go back and watch anytime. We haven't talked much about the laser drill, but what you need to do is put in your head, if you had a laser coming off the knob of your bat that ran the length of your bat, you're trying to dissect that. You're trying to dissect the ball with the laser. That's how you know where to pull the hands, whether it's inside, outside, higher, lower. That's where you get that feel, and that's something you should encompass in your head to get better at the opposite field hitting. But it's just pure rotation here. And that gets you out of the pull phase. Okay, so I'm going to add that back in there so that you can see that. So here we have you with Mitch Haniger, and he does have forward movement. But it's important to note he does have the downward dropping of the body, gathering his power at the ground and then going to the pitch. So you really, this is still his load. All that right there is kind of still his load. This is where he triggers, and from where he triggers, he's got very little forward movement. Okay, so don't be confused when you're watching people. You can be deceived by their movement a little bit. But once he comes down, he's more just pushing back and rotating right where he's at. Okay. So here you go from load and gather to touching your left foot down. You can see that it's pretty much on the same plane. Again, not the end of the world. I don't think it's a big deal at all, but just note that. But here you've already fixed what you were doing before. You're setting down and simply just turning and rotating. You can see most of your pitches from this angle are on a proper trajectory with the bat on the proper plane. But I just wanted to back up and have you understand that, so moving forward you can keep an eye on yourself, because somebody that's been doing something one way for a long time has the ability to regress and go back. The more you do it this way consistently, the more consistent you will be in the box against live pitching. So just keep these things in mind. But if you want to tweak these things and work on these things and look at a new leg kick, you know, now's the time to do it. You know, we're in the middle of winter. We're not going to be playing ball for 2.5 months. You know, let's look at this stuff. You know, there's always things you can do to improve yourself, and you don't know what those are until you try them. You might try something and it hurts your swing. You might try something and it feels funny, but if you work through it and continue to do more reps of it, you find that it helps you. So let's just keep on trucking and see what we can do to help you out here. But just watch here. You know, I'm going to put this in slow-mo so you've got tape you can go look at other hitters on. Just look how Mitch does it here. Again, you can see his contact here. The barrel of the bat is behind his hands. He's got a pretty much perpendicular angle between the ball flight and his bat at contact. Okay, you always want to try to do that in practice. You always want to try to do it. It's hard to do against live pitching, but the more you practice it, the more that becomes your norm. Okay. You know, you can see that you're pretty darn close right there. Your contacts, due to the blur, you kind of got to read that kind of maybe back here. And your ball flight's that way, so you're pretty darn close to hitting that thing 100% flush. I can tell by the way it hits the bat and the ball moves out that it's not 100% flush, but it's really, really close. Okay? So when you're practicing, you always want to try to make contact within this range-ish of your front foot, and you're right on the outer edge of that. So, you know, no qualms there. So I want to throw Mike Trout in here. Mike Trout his power zone is low pitches. He's the best low ball hitter in baseball. In fact, he's one of the best hitters in baseball, period. A lot of people, if they had to pick one guy in the game, which isn't easy to do, that you would call the best hitter, most people land on Mike Trout. But I want you to see the extreme downward vertical plane swing that he has and how it happens. He's doing everything just like you are here, just like Albert Pujols is. But just look how much of a downward plane he gets right there, okay? His leg kick is similar to yours. He doesn't bring it all the way back to his belt buckle like Haniger or Turner do, okay? The one thing he's not doing is starting it behind him and bringing it in. You know, I heard an interview with Ken Griffey Jr. when I was in high school, or just out of high school and in college, but Ken Griffey Jr. said he stepped at the pitcher's chest. Okay, and again, when you see guys do start out and come in, that is typically a timing mechanism. You can see that Nelson Cruz, he moves it in and his foot's down before the ball is released. So it's not an attacking the ball type of situation. But I just wonder if not doing that is going to have any benefit in consistency for you. But all Mike does is picks it up, brings it back a little bit. And if we had a different angle on him, we might find that he brings it back a little bit further. but in essence, it's, you know, up and back, down and forward with his left knee. And then he triggers and gets into his extension. So that is, okay, so that's enough about that topic. Let's get to the follow through, and this is going to be really brief. In the practice setting, whatever you're swinging at, as long as it's in the strike zone, you should always try to achieve a proper power V and proper extension. And again, you extend really well. I just want to keep your eye on the prize, and when you're practicing, make sure you go for this feel and this look. But if you take a look at Aaron Judge's Power V, shoulders to his hands, you want to be extended in a Power V, and you want that Power V to be aimed at the pitcher or beyond him. You don't want it aimed at the ground, okay? And you want it to be open in this sense, facing us, the angle that we have watching this video. You want to see a V there. You don't want the arms to be collapsed on each other because you're turning your wrists over. You can turn the wrists over later in the swing. Some people on certain pitches don't roll the wrists at all. You know, there's been great hitters in the history of baseball that were big wrist hitters. You know, i.e. Hank Aaron, that's where he got all his power. But he moved the rest of the body, you know, correctly to accommodate that. You know, they say a lot of power comes from the way you move your wrists. I was taught that growing up. But you can see on a lot of hits that a lot of pit players, you know, these days with the more vertical swing, they don't even get to the point where they roll their wrists. So, but at minimum, you know, this Power V is essential. You kind of want it to look just like that. You get that elbow up and get all your momentum going at the pitcher. That's what that tells you. If you're in a Power V, that means it's all your energy took you that direction, and that's how your body ends. It looks like that when you're pulling back correctly with the back and the left shoulder. When you're doing this, okay, this is going to end like that, just like snapping the towel, okay? All your energy is moving this way, okay? It's not moving out here rotationally, horizontally, rotationally. You know, it's not moving any other way than out there. And your bat's on a vertical plane to bring it down and boom, out there. So when you look like this, that tells you that your energy is going the right way, okay? When we look at yours, you're close. You got a V right there at contact, but if you look at your extension, you can see how it's just turning over a little bit there. It's not quite Power V. If you had to draw lines on it and look at it, it's probably aimed more downward there, okay? On certain pitches, again, on the extremities, you're not going to always have a perfect Power V, but you should always practice it, okay? So here you're on a different pitch. You're a little bit closer to a better Power V, okay? But that getting that proper Power V has a lot to do with how vertical the swing is too. So You know, you're really close on the power V. You are extending, you're getting maximum power, I can only imagine, but you know, just take a look at that power V. You're kind of stopping there a little bit, and that left shoulder's pulling more horizontally than vertical. So, you know, again, this is nitpicking, but just I want you to be aware of what the elite hitters look like here. See how often they get into the power V and what their power V looks like. Okay. So let's take a look at your down the line view or view from the pitcher here. So this was the portion of your hitting before we talked about a vertical plane versus a horizontal plane. And I misspoke earlier in your lesson. I said the word horizontal when I meant vertical. Vertical's good, horizontal bad. But what we have here is a low. It's kind of just above your knees. It's just middle in. So it's low inside-ish type of pitch. And here you kill the ball. You can see the maximum extension you're getting there on it. If that was hit near the shortstop or the third baseman, they're probably ducking so they don't get hit in the head and have to go to the hospital. Okay, or at least I would think about that if I was them. So again, this can look like nitpicking to some people. What I want you to be aware of is, you know, different looks and feels and ways to do that. But had you taken a different path directly to the ball, and I just mean by a fraction of an inch, and had a little bit more vertical plane and let the ball travel into you just a little bit more, that the look of it would have been more like that. Okay, so you can see Sawyer's pitch is probably in the same height area. It's probably inside another 3 inches, give or take. And yet the ball's hit closer to center field, closer to the center of the field because of the vertical rotation of the bat. So I only bring this up to show you visually what this looks like, okay? You know, if we can add this type of look to the extreme inside pitches that you go after, great. If we can't, again, you're not, you know, it's not a bad thing. I'm just pointing out visually the differences, but if you add this to your swing, maybe 1 out of 30 times you attack an inside pitch, you're going to keep it fair. You know, that's all. That's what that swing does for you. So, you know, again, it's all about consistency and improvement. And if you have this swing in your arsenal, that's going to be the result. You know, that could be the difference between hitting a pitch in that location fair or foul. Okay? Okay, so let's just touch on some things real quick, is give you some information that you can digest and think about, run by other hitting instructors, you know, run it by whoever you can and get some thoughts on it. But so here you are in your ready position, and here you are going to load and attacking the ball. Your left foot starts behind you. You bring it in and set it down, you know, as part of your leg kick and load and everything. I must say, for the most part, you put it down in the correct position, which is, again, is my biggest pet peeve on people that use this type of leg kick, or they start out and then bring it in, is a lot of times they're going to bring it in too far. Uh, you know, you're a bigger kid, you're stronger, you can set that down without it controlling the rest of your swing. But, you know, the only thing that I preach against is the inconsistencies in a swing different position will have. And so just be wary of that. You know, just make sure you do it consistently, practice it enough to where it's natural and regular to put it in the right spot. Again, I wouldn't set out and ask you to change it. Just think about it and see if there's other ways that might be as comfortable. But as you can see, you're outside, you bring it inside, and it really doesn't change how open your eyes are to the pitcher. So if you told me it's because you see the pitch better, I would tell you that that's a feel and not an actuality. And if that feel makes you comfortable, great. Again, I'm not arguing it. I'm just saying it's not giving you a visionary benefit, because when you get to that position, it's not any different than that position with the cock of your head. Okay. I really like your spine angle in your swing. Okay. You're not too vertical with it. Okay. As you can see though, as you're back here and you go to load, the only thing I'm going to tell you, and this is of course minutia, this is splitting hairs, but if you don't have that movement, that's less your brain is doing, that's less brain activity spent. If you found a ready position that was closer to your load, you would have to move less in your swing. But again, this is not a bad swing sequence. It's not an abnormal move amongst elite hitters. Okay. So by having the proper spine angle, that's going to open this area up here to bring the hands and arms through the swing correctly on a vertical plane. So you're doing that textbook. You are closing off this area of your body, your shoulders to the pitcher. Not too much, not too little. That's really nice. Okay. So here's a middle pitch. Pretty much middle of the plate, upper thighs. Maybe a couple of centimeters towards the outside, but you know, essentially middle. And you roll it over to the shortstop or the 6-hole, somewhere in that range. Looks like you might get lucky and get a good bounce and maybe skip it through somewhere, or gave somebody a candy hop, one of the two. But the reason you'll see in the live hitting video that I moved you off the plate, there's two things about this pitch. You're either too close to it and not getting proper extension, in my opinion, or, again, this is before we had our conversation about a vertical bat path versus a horizontal. But you can see that movement, right? Boom. See that right there, right? As you're starting to pull, that takes you off if you're doing the laser drill and dissecting the ball with the laser coming off your knob, that takes you off of that correct path. and affects, and this is minutia, but it's either not getting extended or it's those two things or a combination of both. Okay, it's the direct path to the ball and hitting it opposite field, legging your bat, keeping the bat barrel behind the bat hands. You know, it's that kind of situation, or you're not getting an extension too close to the ball. So that's why I also backed you off the plate. You can see in the live video I did that just to see what kind of differences we'd get. And there wasn't an immediate improvement, but I would still like to visit where you stand in the box. We already talked about how deep you are in the box. Now I'd like you to, once you start swinging, get the directional roll to the ball drills going. I'd like to see where you're at comfort level to all those pitches, and that'll tell me kind of what maybe your best bet is as far as how close to the plate or far away from the plate you are. So I just wanted to bring that topic up. Again, it's a splitting hairs kind of topic, but it's, you know, again, it's very, very important in the topic of overall consistency. A lot of times, you know, when a ball is mishit, a player will tell himself, or you'll hear a coach or a parent talk about timing. You know, a lot of times it's not actually timing. It's a swing mechanic somewhere, somehow. And you may not be able to pick up on this. I'm not sure who else will or won't, but to me, this is a mechanical issue and or a combination of foot positioning here, not allowing proper extension. But what we know already from watching this view and the other view is that you're not shooting. I don't think, I might have missed it. I think there was one where you went this way, but it was almost straight up like a pop-up to second base. You're not really hitting a ball hard to the right side at 22 degrees. I think if you watch your film, in case I missed it and don't remember correctly, I don't think you're hitting anything oppo, so that's telling me it's more mechanical and direction of the initiation of the swing and the laser drill. Okay, but I just wanted to point all this out to you. So here is a middle pitch, and it's absolutely crushed. It's textbook all the way around. But as you allow me to nitpick here, I'm going to nitpick and I'm going to tell you this, okay? For as many times in practice that you hit this pitch that direction, I want to see you hit it as many times equally so that you're well-rounded that way. I want you to learn to attack that pitch both ways. Okay? Now that'll create a feel in you and a muscle memory of a reaction to go on opposite. Okay? You never know how you're going to react to a pitch in a game. I can certainly tell you this, though, that when you rip a ball, you're not going to know and remember how you did it. It's all going to be drawn from your muscle memory and how you practice. So if you practice all options, in a game you're going to recall different reactions to different pitches. So let's keep that in mind. Okay, Ronnie, so this concludes your lesson. The first thing I want to tell you is after you take this and we get back to practice, I'd certainly like to communicate all this stuff with you, see where you're at on it. I'd certainly like you to take this and run it by as many people as you can. You know, I've shown you the drills that I'd like you to start kicking in on your own and doing, but, you know, finalize your action plan. If it's the same as mine, great. If it's different, if people have added or taken away things, let's talk about it. I want in your head for you to be solid on where you're going and to visit that action plan daily or as often as you work on your baseball swing. And let's tweak some of these things. And again, it's not, for me, it's not where a kid's at, it's where a kid's going. Everybody can improve, whether on a scale to 1 to 10, if you're already a 7, work on getting to a 10. If you're a 3, then work on getting to a 10. You know, everybody's got the ability to improve more and daily, and I want you to gain that focus and remain focused and have an action plan that's going to help you do that, buddy. So again, I'd like to chat with you about this stuff, get your opinion on it, and move forward. And here comes your video. I just want you to watch it. Watch the trajectory of your ball. Are you going gap to gap? What's your, what's your upward plane, your upward trajectory? Just watch all that. Watch your consistency. How do you do with outside pitches? Unfortunately, we didn't get you a lot of outside pitches here, and I'd really like to film you hitting that to make some further conclusions. But, you know, watch your inside stuff. Watch your contact. Is it flush? Is it not flush? And all those things. And the next thing here is hopefully you're going to get to the point where we can film you pitching. So I'm really hoping your arm progresses and we can get you into that within the next month or here. So, you know, if pitching's one of your goals come summertime, you know, we should obviously delve into that. So hopefully your arm's making good progress here, buddy. But this is your video lesson. Watch your stuff. Hit me up later once we get back to practice. I'd like to chat with you about everything, and we'll go from there.
Okay. See how that one was kind of, you just standing up to the third baseman, right? Those first two were really good.
That skinned my leg.
Did it get you?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's a perfect launch angle for a pitch in that spot. Nice. 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 That's nice. So I want your right foot back 4 inches. Okay? Okay? Try to stay in that position and come back to that every time here. Just for now, okay?
Sean, do you want me to come there in there, please? Toss it back?
Yeah, please, please. Okay. Here's the one thing. I want you to think about, get the feel for it, and practice it. This catch here, right? You're driving it over there. But what I would like you to get the feel for, okay, once you get coming down better like you already are, see now I'm hitting the ball hard that way or that way. Because I'm getting here. Okay, the barrel's still behind my hand. So, boom. Boom. And this is just rolling. This is just rolling. And now you're going to your power beat. Think about that inside. That's good. Let's get you over here. Yeah, please. Shuffle them over there. It would be easier if we had a bucket, wouldn't it?
Yeah. How close are we, right here?
Yeah, right there, right there. We might be. I'm not certain.
Do you need anything from me?
Okay, Ronnie. Right, same thing, right? Gap to gap. I'm gonna have you, after some swing, stop. Look over the camera and hold up for 1, 2, or 3, okay? I think if we put it right about there, you're going to be able to get inside pitch better and still reach the outside plate.
Yeah, I felt I could, if anything here, I could get my mind inside. And
The closer you get to the plate, the more you have to have that thing.
like, I always felt like since I'm bigger, pitchers target outside.
You kind of want to set up, your mindset is, you want to set up where you can crush anything in the zone, regardless of what you see. You build your swing around you, not him. Wherever he puts it, you should be, if you train yourself correctly, you can crush anything, right? So. Okay, look at the camera and give me 1. Point to the camera and give me 1. Point to the camera and give me a 2. Logan. Everything up the middle, Ronnie, up the middle. Stay there. Hop in there.
Okay, Ronnie, I do apologize. I told a little lie here to you. I do want you to see the rear view of a couple of your swings. Again, this is before we had our conversation in the box. On this hitting session, we had our conversation when you went from the front view to the down the line view. The down the line view being the pitcher's view. We talked about vertical versus horizontal swings, vertical being good, horizontal being bad. But let's take a look at this pitch here. This is an outside pitch, outside belly button maybe, somewhere in that range, higher part of the zone. You know, with youth umpires, this is being called a strike all day long. It's really close. I really honestly couldn't tell you. It looks like it might come a half an inch or a couple of millimeters off the plate and be a ball, but it could barely touch it too. I don't know. You contacted out in front there quite a bit, like we talked about earlier, but you can see you crush the ball. You almost take the pitcher's head off. It probably goes up the middle for a base hit. You know, if by some miracle the catcher gets his glove up and catches that, that's, you know, probably a very big improbability. If you were in the major leagues and they were shifting on you, though, like they shift these days, they read people's probabilities and they shift on people these days. If, you know, if that's what was happening here, you know, and you looked at all your swings, so if you're an opposing coach to Ronnie's team and Ronnie comes to bat and I've watched all your videotape, I'm going to tell my infield that this player does not hit to the right side. This guy does not go oppo. Okay, so I'm going to have all my left fielders from second base to third base on the left side of the infield. And I'm going to simply scoop that ball up and throw you at first base. But in youth baseball, that's going right up the middle. You're on first base. You know, nobody, no parents in the stands, no coaches are going to say anything to you except congratulate you for getting a base hit. And I would too, okay? But what I'm telling you is to be a complete hitter, to have no holes in your swing, to be Albert Pujols or Ken Griffey or Mike Trout, you're going to have to take a more direct path with your hands to that ball, and you're going to have to be able to practice hitting the ball oppo hard on the proper direct trajectory, okay? So that's the one thing you haven't shown me yet, is hitting the ball hard the opposite way on the proper trajectory. So this is demonstrating that. You've got an outside pitch, okay? And you bring your bat out here, you get behind it and you clobber it, but it's a little bit too horizontal rotationally versus directionally at the ball with your hands. You're turning the 90 here, you're doing all that stuff right, but as we talked, you know, some of your swings are just different. And I just want to demonstrate that here so that we can, you know, be on the same page moving forward. So here you are, I don't know, looks to be middle-ish, maybe middle high. This is about one of the few pitches that you do go opposite field, but you can see it's a pop-up more or less. It's just a little bit too high of a trajectory. You can see that it's not flush contact. It's more of a golf ball contact. Okay, you can see you can see if we connect those two dots, okay, from here to here, that is the plane that your bat's on, okay, versus, you know, something in these parts here, okay. So again, you're right, you're flat at times, and we've talked about the things that we can do to improve that and change that. But looking at this video, I would say we were going to want to revisit and rethink our angle right here when we start our initiation of our swing in the snap drill, and then the other changes you've already made. So it's just a matter of perfecting those and sticking with them. But I just wanted to point this stuff out so that you can have a visual on all this stuff and put it into your memory. And this is now actually concluding your lesson, buddy. There you go. Again, I look forward to talking to you about it. I'll see you on the 6th.
Okay. See how that one was kind of, you just grounded up to the third baseman, right? Those first two were really good.
That skinned my leg.
Did it get you?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's a perfect launch angle for a pitch in that spot. Nice. 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 That's nice. So I want your right foot back 4 inches. Okay? Okay? Try to stay in that position and come back to that every time here. Just for now, okay?
Sean, do you want me to come there in there, toss it back?
Yeah, please, please. Okay. Here's the one thing. I want you to think about, get the feel for it, and practice it. This pitch here, right? You're driving it over there. But what I would like you to get the feel for, okay, once you get coming down better like you already are, see how I'm hitting the ball hard that way or that way. Because I'm getting here. Okay, the barrel's still behind my hand. So, boom. Boom. And this is just rolling. This is just rolling. And now you're going to your power beat. Think about that inside. That's good. Let's get you over here. Yeah, please. Shuffle them over there. It would be easier if we had a bucket, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Where do you want to go? How close are we? Right here?
Yeah, right there, buddy. What's up? What's up? We might be. I'm not certain.
Do you need anything from me?
Okay, Ronnie. All right, same thing. Drive it. Gap to gap. I'm gonna have you, after some swing, stop. Look over the camera and hold up for 1, 2, or 3. Okay.
It's all in.
put it right about there, you're going to be able to get inside this better and still reach the outside plate.
Yeah, I saw it. I felt I could, if anything here, I could get my hands inside. And
The closer you get to the plate, the more you have to have that thing.
like, I always felt like, since I'm bigger, there's target outside.
You kind of want to set up, your mindset is, you want to set up where you can crush anything in the zone, regardless of what you do. Rebuild your swing around you, not him. Wherever he puts it, you should be, if you train yourself correctly, you can crush anything, right? So. Camera, give me one. Point to the camera, give me one. Point to the camera, give me a two. Point to the camera, give me a three. Point to the camera, give me a three. All right, you're done. That's good. Logan. Everything up the middle, Ronnie, up the middle. Stay there. Hop in there.